For the ones who get going when the going gets tough. And the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you. So you can always depend on us. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When your celebration of life is prepaid in advance, it becomes a gift from you to your family later. Because no one should have to plan for a loss while they're experiencing one. Paying in advance protects your loved ones and gives you the peace of mind you deserve. Let us help you plan every detail with professionalism and compassion. We're your local Dignity Memorial provider. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
Hello again, everyone. Chris Matthew with Forbidden Knowledge News. Today, I'm happy to welcome Sarah Adams. She has experienced many things from seeing abductions to seeing angels who aided her. Her awakening consciousness increased as she got older, and she experienced the supernatural and past lives in Egypt and Atlantis. She works with many clients around the world in what she calls intuitive healing. This includes homeopathy, herbs, supplements, diet superfoods, detoxing, energy work, visualization, meditation, energy work, and cellular work. Sarah, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you for having me on, and I'm doing amazing. And they forgot to add in, I also bring in ETs that work on people and help them to heal. So yes.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's great. Yeah, and I am so looking forward to meeting you at the conference, hearing your amazing presentation, which is actually going to be about multidimensional aliens. So, Sarah, give us a little teaser. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be presenting.
So, it changes all the time because the ETs always have a lot of information that they're given to me every single day. A lot of days I wake up and they're all around my bed. They're like, okay, we need to work on the oceans. You need to tell humanity how to do this. So they give me a lot of different information, but I do really want to speak about the souls of our ancestors and how they are earthbound spirits, and they have been through a lot of trauma and a lot of pain, wars, and so they are stuck on this planet wandering around, and we need to channel light to them so that they can ascend. When they ascend, that will help the frequency of the planet to go up. And this is something that the ETs are very passionate about right now. So this is what we're currently working on together.
Now, there is a lot of, I guess you could say, confusion amongst the community when it comes to when you're talking about angelic beings or celestial beings or extraterrestrials. I'm wondering for you, are these the same thing? Would you consider angels to be extraterrestrials or something different?
No, I don't. So there's different councils. There's councils of what I call the earth elemental spirits. There's also the councils of the ETs. There's the councils of the, the different spirits. There's the councils of the angels. And a lot of my experience is that we all the councils will join together and they will go to what I call the original council. The original council are what I call they're spirits that are of the ancient light. They're the original light when it first manifested. All the ETs, all the different councils go to them. So there are definitely different councils. I think a lot of times it's very confusing for people because they do label aliens as ETs or vice versa, but they're entirely different beings. They do work together, however.
Very interesting. Now, when it comes to our multidimensional reality, I completely agree that our reality is very multidimensional. There are different densities and different layers, and I've heard you describe it kind of like an onion as well. Help the audience for those that are kind of confused on how this multidimensionality works. How would you describe this?
So for me, it's in layers. And, a lot of people are going to 4D, 5D. I go way above 5D. I go to 22D. I often get people that are working with me to go into 22D. I teach them how to do this. And 22D is complete God consciousness. You can speak to angels, see them. You can speak to ETs and see them. This for me is the ultimate frequency to go this instant, because there's no control, there's no chaos there, there's no infiltration of darker, more denser frequencies and energies. So for me, whenever I explain this, I'm like, I go up. But it's just going higher in frequency, which allows me to go through the dimensions, and they're almost layered. Like in the movie The Matrix, where he's going through the skyscraper, there's each level he's going through. That's how I can explain it.
Oh, that's very interesting. Now, you also do healing work. Can you kind of explain what kind of healing work you do, what you help people with, and how it works?
Yes. So the energy field and the physical body, our cells, our organs, they all hold in the frequencies of trauma that we've experienced in this lifetime or past lifetimes, even our ancestral trauma, karma. So we go through the organs, we go through the cells, we completely delete all of these old energies. And you know what? Humanity has to understand that they have superpowers. They can go into their liver and say, delete this frequency out, and it will do so. And then they can tell, the cosmic light to come into their liver, and it will heal their liver. Any organ that's depleted is going to start to become sick and start to fail. And this is why we have such things as heart attacks. And we have people that are ill. They do not have enough light energy within their bodies. This is a huge problem right now on the planet. So I go into the system. We completely delete all these frequencies out of the system. Then we rebuild the light body. And this goes back to Christ in the Bible, where Christ says that one must die to be born again. It doesn't mean that you must physically die. It means that your old energy field must completely be dismantled and cleared from your body, and a new light body must be created and merged into your physical body.
Wow, that is super interesting. Now, I have a couple more questions before we close out today. The ETs that you communicate with, I'm assuming that they're mostly benevolent, but is there any worries that you would have to, block out negative ETs? Do you ever have to do anything to prepare for communication with ETs so that you won't accidentally communicate with negative ones?
So I keep my frequencies high enough so I'm not accessing the lower realms. And in Egypt, they talk about the underworld. I went to the underworld purposely. And I went to the underworld and I went with Anubis. And I was able to master those energies. I went there to master those energies rather than to be mastered by them. And imagine fear 1,000,000 times more than what it is here on Earth. So I went to the lower realms to master that. Once I mastered those frequencies and elements, then I was able to ascend out of the underworld. So nothing scares me. I have no fear of anything, because after mastering that, I realized very, very deeply that I'm God. And of course, God is eternal and immortal. So nothing can really hurt me or harm me in the end. And this is what humanity needs to understand, that each one of them, they're God, and they have the power of God within them. And anything negative, they can tell it to go away, and it will go away. So I don't really have any problems with those things. I do a lot of work with clients around the world, because a lot of people don't know how to master their energy fields. They don't know how this divine tech works. So they're quite lost. And negative entities are drawn to karma. They're drawn to toxins in the body. They're drawn to dense energy. Once that's cleared, then the entities completely leave. For me, there's not such a huge problem with negative ETs. It's more the what I call the energies from the underworld that is leaking through what I call portals or gateways into this realm. And this goes back to a lot of dark magic that was done to open these gateways to the lower realms and to close the gateways to the higher realms. And that energy, of course, from the lower realms is very vampiric. And that's why we have a lot of people on this planet suffering, because it's coming up and it's draining the energy of humanity. And that's going to continue happening until they step into their God selves. And then they use that power to close those portals to tell that darkness to go back into its realm and to stop, harming humanity and this planet.
And do you think that anybody could have the ability to access and communicate with some of these ascended masters and what some would consider gods? Like, you just mentioned you were went to the underworld with Anubis, and I know some people who have claimed to have spoken with Jesus, Buddha, all these other ascended masters and gods. Does anyone have the ability to do this I guess it would be on a certain frequency, right?
Right, but the thing with these masters is they didn't come to be worshipped. They came here to say, we achieve this, you can also achieve this. Even Jesus said, thou shalt do greater works than me. Jesus was healing people. Jesus told the ocean to calm, and it did so. But I don't see that, in religion, or I don't see that happening because of the fact that people have not stepped into their God selves. And those things are deterring them from their true God power within them. So, it's great. If I have a hard day, I'm going to say, come in Anubis, come in certain different beings to help me. Even the ETs, they do so. But I know above all, I'm my own master. So I've learned that is the most important. So we need to become our own ascended masters, and we can have help from these beings, but relying on them to get us somewhere, that is not the right path to take. When I went to the underworld, I willingly went there. I was there. I was going through. I said, Anubis, can you come help me out sometimes? He did. But most of the majority of work to get out of the underworld, to master those energies, I did it myself because that was my lesson. And we need to start understanding that we have just as much power as these ascended masters. And that's what they were trying to tell us when they came here to Earth.
Yeah, that is a great message and a great message to end on. Now, Sarah, if people are interested in finding out more about you and the work that you do, what's the best way for them to do so between now and the conference?
So they can go to my website. It's www.sararadams.com, and that's Sarah with an H because sometimes people forget that. And, I will be releasing a lot more of just a lot more channelings, a lot more I don't even like calling them the channelings. I just know I'm in God consciousness. I'll be releasing a lot of information that's coming through about ETs and about the ascension of humanity.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to that. I look forward to meeting you at the conference.
Yes.
Yes. And hearing your presentation, hanging out with you. That's going to be an amazing 7 days. And look forward to meeting all of you too. So we will see you all in Laughlin. Welcome back, everyone. Chris Matthew with Forbidden Knowledge News. Today, I want to welcome Michael Telstar. He has attended the Monroe Institute for their Gateway and Trainers program. He has also attained his remote viewing in coordinate, extended, and masters with David Morehouse. His demonstrations of the paranormal, combined with his mastery of energy and principles of the metaphysical, will leave you feeling amazed. Michael, welcome. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing terrific, Chris. It's a lovely day here in Toronto, Ontario. It's over 60 Fahrenheit, and it's starting to get really nice. And I'm really looking forward to this trip because they still have a lockdown here in Toronto, and I'm really going to be looking forward to going to the U.S. for this conference.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're going to be able to make it. I know there's a couple of speakers that aren't going to be able to make it because of the, COVID restrictions. So that's going to be great to see you. It's going to be great to see all of your presentations. You have multiple, and that's what we're doing here today. We're going to get a little teaser of what you're going to be doing at the Laughlin UFO MIGA conference. So tell us about each of your presentations. I know one of them is going to be about 3 of my favorite topics: remote viewing, time travel, and extraterrestrials.
Yes, there's remote viewing is the modern terminology for clairvoyance, basically, and everybody has the inherent ability to learn how to remote view, by the way, so you can learn to do it. But I'll be talking about remote viewing and correlations with extraterrestrials. In other words, when you remote view, you usually are attracted to areas of high strangeness. So I found that when I was remote viewing, I'd be attracted to what I would call unidentified flying objects or whatever you want to term that, make the term. And I also found out by accident that I could time travel as well, either into the past or into the future. So people will have these experiences and call them deja vus, synchronicities and so on and so forth. But I'll be getting a lot to not just how to remote view and to time travel, but how to, if you want to establish communication with higher life forms. So some may be extraterrestrials, and some may be beings, higher life forms that are indigenous to this world even.
When you're trying to communicate with extraterrestrials, should you be concerned about communicating with the wrong type of extraterrestrials, like a more malevolent species? Is there something that you should do to prepare or, get in contact with the right ones?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris. I suppose that there's always the off chance that you're going to connect with entities or life forms that are going to be positive. However, I'm of the belief that if you're a positive human being, if you're a positive person, you will attract like-minded individuals or beings. So I have had some negative experiences when I was younger, not knowing what I was doing. And you can connect with them, but I would say for most people not to worry about that. If you have good intentions and you have good positive beliefs, that you will connect with positive beings. So remote viewing is one of the tools that you can apply. There are other ways of communicating with other life forms as well, but remote viewing is something that can be learned and be done by anybody, anywhere. And basically, you send out thought waves, and you send out messages out there of wanting to attract with other life forms and other entities. But you have to be ready for this kind of an experience too. So not everybody will have experiences just like that. Obviously, you have to be mentally, spiritually aware and know yourself and know what you're doing. And plus, it's not going to be like when you remote view, you're just going to instantly connect with somebody. Not like knocking on a door. So, but you can. It is a tool that can be applied for connecting with higher life forms, including extraterrestrials or EBEs, as I like to call them, extra biological entities. And if you focus on the positive and you know yourself, you will eventually come in, contact with some higher life forms. And a lot of people have, and a lot of people haven't. But if you don't have any, doesn't mean that they don't know of you. So when you start to remote view, you start getting to a higher, your brain emanates alpha and theta brain waves. So you start sending out this beacon of energy. And this beacon of energy is a little unusual because you emanate it while you're in a conscious state. Normally, when you emanate theta, you're in an unconscious state, REMing, rapid eye movement, sleeping, dreaming, for example. So when you start emanating this peculiar energy, and it will get the attention of other life forms and other beings out there. So they will notice you, but if they don't contact you, doesn't mean that you haven't succeeded. But of course, remote viewing can be applied for a plethora of other possibilities, and the ways that you can apply it are endless.
That is amazing. And now you said you along with the remote viewing, you figured out that you were able to time travel. Could you explain how that works a little bit? And, I know that time isn't how we perceive it linearly, really. How is this working, and how are you experiencing this?
Well, I had a lot of experiences of deja vus, and I'm sure you've had that yourself, Chris. Synchronicities where you're at the right place at the right time. And I learned that I was inadvertently time traveling. Now, this is not in the physical state, of course. This is in a non-physical state, through the consciousness, through the mind. So the consciousness, awareness, or the consciousness is not limited by linear time, right? The past, the present, and the future all exist, basically they're on the same platform, right? People may put them as backwards, present, now, and then future, but that's only because we're mortal beings, and that's what we do, how to do that so that we can live in an everyday life. So I accidentally learned that I could go back into the past and communicate with my younger self. And what I did was I changed a decision that I made in the past, and when I came to the present, the outcome was manifested as if it had actually happened. So I don't know if I'm explaining that properly, but if you have a decision that you made in the past that you were not happy about, you can remote view your past, go back to that incident, communicate with your past self, and then the ripples of that decision, changing that moment, can have an impact on your present life. So I did that not thinking I was just, I didn't know I didn't realize that anything was going to happen, but something did happen where my present moment was changed as a result of my changing that decision. I also learned that I accidentally time traveled when I went and thought I was speaking to somebody in the present, and then I met them, and then a few days later or a couple of weeks later, and exactly the same thing was said when I met them in the physical, or met them in the non-physical through remote viewing. So there was a conversation, and I knew what this person was going to say before they said it, right? And I actually spoke simultaneously sometimes at the same time as they did. So that was one way that I found out too, that you can do that by accident.
Wow, that is really cool. And finally, you're also going to be giving a seminar on remote viewing, right?
Yes, I'm doing a demonstration. I'm going to be doing a remote viewing demonstration on the 9th, on June 9th at 9 o'clock at Pisces Room and at the Aquarius. But I'll be doing a thanks to a large part to my good friend Bob Brown, who's the founder too of the conference. He's given me access to the Pisces Room, and I'll be doing a Secrets of Remote Viewing, a 3-hour seminar to 60 lucky participants. And I like to refer to my students as Obinauts. It's a word I made up, Chris, that means it's an explorer of the inner and the outer world, the microcosm and the macrocosm, Obinaut, out-of-body adventures, right? So I'll be talking about techniques. There are 6 levels to remote viewing, and each stage of the remote viewing takes 100 hours really technically to learn. But I'll be kind of going through a kind of a condensed, it's going to be very impactful, 3 hours, but I'll be giving a manual with it as well, my manual on remote viewing. And I'm going to be giving people the basic concepts to remote viewing, what it is, how could it be applied, the aperture, how you see things, how do you eliminate white noise? Because everybody remote views when they get an impression. They get a visual, they get a sensation, they get an impression, and then it happens, or they see it happen. I'm sure that's happened to you, and it happens to a lot of people, except they don't know what they're remote viewing. They don't know what they're picking up. So I'll give them a technique on the spot on how they could remote view something at will, how to open the aperture, and how to focus, how to get into the alpha brainwave state, because you can't remote view unless you're in a focused state of attention. It's kind of like a hypnotic state, right? If you're just in a regular mind state, then you're not able to do it. So I'll be teaching people how to get into that state, how to maintain it for a while. And we're going to do a couple of targets too as well, some simple targets.
That is awesome. I can't wait for that. And I can't wait to meet you at the conference, hear all your presentations, and especially meet everyone there. So that's going to be an amazing time. If people want to find out more about you and, some of the research and stuff that you're doing, is there any social media or website or anything that people can go to?
If they want to contact me, Chris, if they want to reserve a spot in advance to take my seminar, for example, they just go to my website, michaeltelstar.com. And I have a section there on my website where they could communicate with me. And if they want to reserve a space, for the actual program, they can. Oops, pardon me. I just accidentally pulled out my plug there. There we go.
All righty.
All right. Am I back on?
You're back. You're good.
Yeah. So I should have seen that coming. I didn't see it coming. All right. So so if people want to reserve a spot, they can do that. If they have a question, I'll get back to them within 24 hours. And I am so looking forward to going to this conference. I was slated to go last year, but I couldn't make it because of the pandemic. But
right, yeah, I remember that. I was actually waiting to see you there, and you couldn't make it.
Yeah, I couldn't make it. But this year, everything is clear. Everything is going to be okay, and I'm going to be there.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait for that. That's going to be a great time, Michael. Thank you for stopping by today. And
Thanks,
thank all of you, and we will see you all in Laughlin. This year's Laughlin UFO Mega Conference is going to be the biggest, most extraordinary ever. It's going to feature over 36 scientists, researchers, and contactees presenting incredible new disclosures over 7 days. You can now register for the full week, for half a week, or even by the day or session. During this incredible week, not only will there be over 35 amazing presentations, which, by the way, will only be one at a time, so you don't have to miss anything. You're going to get an amazing Skywatch, meet and greets, exclusive film screenings, and the opportunity to hang out with me. Go to their website, LaughlinUFOMegaConference.com, and register now. Last year's conference was awesome, and this year's will be even better. Join us for an incredible 7 days of education and disclosure at the Laughlin UFO Mega Conference.
When your celebration of life is prepaid in advance, it becomes a gift from you to your family later, because no one should have to plan for a loss while they're experiencing one. Paying in advance protects your loved ones and gives you the peace of mind you deserve. Let us help you plan every detail with professionalism and compassion. We're your local Dignity Memorial provider. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
Hey, imagine if all your frustrations about advertising your business could be solved right now. You should know that podcast listeners are more engaged and higher converting than any other advertising medium. So try AdHub today and reap the rewards of Spreaker's self-advertising platform. It makes it as effortless as ever to be heard by thousands, regardless of the listening app they use. Visit Spreaker.com/AdHub. That's SPREAKER.com/AdHub and start using your advertising dollars in an impactful way.